Ali, as promised, we're going to talk with the great man himself. He's in Los Angeles. We have a split screen set up. Muhammad, hello again. Good to be back with you again. As you know, we've shown your boxing history, the nuts and bolts of it. First, in your view, what was your single greatest fight?
Well, first of all, Howard, I can say it's difficult to say which fight was my single greatest. I know the one that I liked the best was the fight in Manila with Joe Frazier.
Why was that the best in your mind?
Well, because we fought a hard 14 rounds, no slack, real action. Both took a lot of punishment. And in round 14, as you know, he didn't answer the bell for round 15. But it was a real hard fight. And to show you how great it was, Frazier was just exalted and couldn't go no more.
All right, accepting that was your greatest single effort, Muhammad. What, in your mind, was the time when you were at your absolute peak? At what point?
Well, it's difficult to say. Probably the Cleveland Williams fight, and couldn't take too much from him because he was greater than people gave him credit for. He had that bullet in his stomach, or he got shot in the stomach, and he was recuperating from that, so I'm not bragging about beating him. Zoe Foley was a good one, but it's left up to people like yourself, experts and people to look at my fights and just rank them where you want them. I can't predict.
All right, Muhammad, let's begin at the beginning. The two fights with Sonny Liston, your whole career jarred by controversy. There were those to this day who say those fights were fixed. At the end of your career now, answer such people.
Well, I would like to say that I can't blame them for thinking something was wrong because Liston had built such image. He destroyed Patterson twice and Zoe Foley and Cleveland Williams. And he was really a great fighter, and I was so hated because of my Islamic religion, the draft resistance, and they wanted me beat so bad they just couldn't believe that I was as great as I was. But I think that after they look at my record after that, and up until today, how I fought Spinks at the age of 37, and how I was still going at that time, they can see that I was actually that good. But for those who say that something was wrong, if it was a fix, I think the promoters, the experts, and commissioners would have found it and proved it.
So much for that. Let's go to another point. The Foreman fight in Zaire, the rope-a-dope, the introduction of that. Were you confident before that fight that you could do what you eventually did to Foreman? Did you really believe it inside?
I didn't know that I would do it that way. I didn't know how I would win. I didn't know what would happen as far as my battle strategy was concerned. But the rope-a-dope was accidentally invented there. I did that in training, stand in the corners, hands up, and let my opponents punch until they get tired. But in the Foreman fight, I didn't plan to do it. I was so tired after round one. He was cutting the ring off. It took me too much to fight and stay away. So I decided to lay on the ropes and let him wear himself down, which worked, but that happened by accident. I didn't plan it.
In September of '66, we were together in Frankfurt, West Germany. You had unexpected trouble with the southpaw, Carl Mildenberger, didn't you?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, southpaws have always given me trouble. I fought one named Johnny Hampton. I lost to him when I was amateur. I lost to Amos Johnson in Madison, Wisconsin, the Pan American Games in 1958. And southpaws have always given me trouble, but it takes time to figure them out. But I did that night.
Finally,
because I had more rounds to do it in. In the amateurs, you only had 3 rounds. If you lose 2 and win 1, you lose. But by that being a big fight, I think I got him in round 10, 11.
Finally, reflectively, the 3 fights with Kenny Norton. Why was he such a difficult opponent?
Well, Norton's a great fighter, much greater than people give him credit for. He had a way of leaning back, whereas he could watch your punches and still at the same time counterattack. He carried his guard real low, which was confusing, and he was real fast and he hit hard, but he seemed to recognize my style, and my talking and my bluffing and my bragging and my poems never bothered him. So that all helped him.
Finally, some questions not relevant to that which happened within the ring. April 28, 1967, Houston, Texas. We were together. You rejected military induction. 3.5 years ensued of enforced idleness. The press, not quite but almost unanimously, glad about what was being done to you. Looking back today, how do you feel about those people?
Well, I can't say that they were glad what was happening. Some probably were, but I never say all. But I don't feel no malice or nothing bad, because they were only doing what they thought at the time was right. Later they all changed and realized I was right.
All right, for that. It was reported shortly ago that Bob Arum, the boxing promoter, this reported on radio and on television, paid you $300,000 for you to write a letter of retirement to the World Boxing Association. Is that true or not true?
Well, if that's true, I know nothing about it, so I say it's not true. But I was paid a great sum to hold my retirement party, which will be here in the Forum in Los Angeles on September the 6th. And that was part of the payment for us to have the show and the promotion there in the Forum, which they plan to make the money back. But can't nobody pay me to retire. It's time to retire, and I retired. I don't know why Mr. Arum said that. He also made a false report once. I won't call it a lie, but it was a false report. He said I quit boxing because I had kidney trouble, and that's a lie.
That's
I want to say one more thing, Howard, to get the people ready, because, you know, I just completed a great movie called Freedom Road, and sometimes in October, please look out for Freedom Road, is where I play a great slave who freed himself, educated himself, united the poor black and whites, and it was a great movie. You got to see it.
Well,
It'll be on television.
I remember seeing some of it shot. You remember Chris Christopherson is in it.
Right.
And you have brought up sociological implications in that movie. That leads to another question, Muhammad. Would you personally fight in the Republic of South Africa or in the bogus state that government created known as Bophuthatswana?
Only with the permission of the United Nations and other black African nations who are fighting them and their oppression on black people. I was invited there twice to speak and to visit. I wouldn't go because I was told not to go by Ambassador Harriman of the United Nations of Nigeria and other African delegates in Muslim countries that don't want me to go. I would not go until they okayed it.
Final question, Muhammad. Are you glad it's over?
Yes, sir, Howard. I'm so glad that's all over. I'm glad that I'm still intelligent enough to speak. I'm glad that I'm a 3-time champion. I'm glad I got to know you, and thank you for all the backing. I remember when the Vietnam crisis was going, you would go on television and say, if you don't believe Muhammad Ali's the champion, then get in the ring with him. And I want to say that helped me during my exile. Thank you.
You are the greatest, aren't you?
I try to be.
Good luck.
That was just used. Thank you.
Good luck to you, and it's not goodbye, it's au revoir, my friend.
Thank you, Howard.
We'll be back with a wrap-up in just a moment. To chronicle all, or nearly all, of Muhammad Ali's career. And on that account, I believe I have some qualifications for the assessment of him in the perspective of time as a man and as a fighter. On both counts, he must be considered remarkable. Lacking in formal education, Still able to barely read or write, he nonetheless has gravitated with facility from the ghetto to the White House and even to the Kremlin. In the age of the world's most traveled statesman, Henry Kissinger, it was Ali who became the most recognized figure in the entire world. At a time when he lived in enforced idleness, he showed his character, and it was a shining piece of courage. He never wavered, he never complained, and he told you the truth. He is left without malice and bitterness toward those who believed he had gotten his just deserts. When he spoke of my support for him, no credit attaches to that. That was simply a matter of constitutional law. A man in a government of laws had been deprived of due process and equal protection. And that is not what America stands for. Finally, as a fighter, I think the greatest gift he had was his perseverance, his ability somehow to come back in the most demanding, sacrificial, and brutal sport of all, one-on-one physical punishment, from 3.5 years of idleness, to lose and then to win, to lose again and then to win, and to lose a third time, and then to win. I think if past is prologue, and it may be, in the years to come, Muhammad Ali will somehow remain a figure on the national and world scene. This much is certain. He will be, like one other athlete before him, Jackie Roosevelt Robinson, remembered as a man of sociological significance, his exploits to be reported not just in the sports tomes, but in the American history books. For that, he is worthy of tribute. Thank you for being with us. So long, everyone.
Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?